It's the 29th of April 2026, and yes, it's a chilly Wednesday morning. The weather is a little cool this morning. Well, I like it. I hope it's really cool, and of course, you're enjoying the weather. It's not hot, yes. Thank you for joining AM120. I am Oluwafunbi Bello. And yes, I take you through the dailies, and this morning I have the Nigerian Tribune on the front page. We have a story on page 18. It says, APC, the battle within. The writer says how Guba senatorial contests affect party unity in Oyo, Nasarawa, Delta, Benue, others. And that story is on page 18. Reps approve $516.3 million fresh loan for Tinubu. That story is on page 5. Lagos GSC endorses Hamzat. Faleke picks forms for Tinubu. Yayi Hunye Daniel obtained governorship senatorial forms. And that story is on page 19. 1 million naira salary worth less without stable naira. And that's coming from the NLC. That story is on page 4. UAE to exit OPEC from May 1st. And that's on page 14. Kidnappers demand 500 million naira ransom for farm managers release in Ondo. And that story is on page 21. And on page 20, ADC fingers APC in PRP's sudden leadership crisis. Party writes CJN seeks quick judgment delivery. Telecoms operators call for urgent regulatory resolution as airtime credit suspension threatened million of Nigerians. And that story is on page 14. And on page 5, insecurity. Senate moves to allocate 1% of federation accounts, others to police funding amid clamor for state police. And that story is on page 5. And lastly, on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning, we have a story on page 21. It says, e-cigarettes emit toxic metals, raising new health concerns, according to a study. And that's all on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, taking some of the inside stories, starting with page 3. Tinubu to inaugurate newly upgraded 154-room Premier Hotel Ibadan, June. Odua Investment partners Ibadan economic team on SME growth. Obi advocates united productive Nigeria after private talks with Makinde in Ibadan. OAU shuts down for 3 weeks as students protest new transport system. Oshu government disowns report on Akpetumodu's deposition, and that's on all stories on page 3. Emefiele suspects confess to fraudulent withdrawal of $6.23 million from CBN. Senate declares Ondo South seat vacant. INEC asked to fill vacancy within 30 days. AI assisted EFCC to nab 792 suspected cyber criminals during operation in Lagos. And that's coming from EFCC chairman. Reps approve $516 million fresh loan for construction of Sokoto Badagry Superhighway project. NSC seeks media support to promote sustainable development engineering excellence. Senate moves to allocate 1% of federation accounts, others to police funding amid clamor for state police. All stories on pages 4 and 5. Moving on to page 20, ADC writes CJN seeks quick decision on party leadership. Talking of politics, former Oluyole local government chairman Ola Oshebikon declares for House of Reps donate secretariat to APC. First female Ondo speaker Akindele declares for Senate seat. ADC fingers APC in PRP leadership crisis. Publicized Tinubu's achievement. Oyebanji urges APC Southwest leaders. Police, EFCC rescue 14 abducted passengers from sea pirates on Calabar Oron waterways. Kidnappers demand 500 million naira ransom for abducted farm manager in Ondo. And that's all we have on page 20 and 21. Still on politics. Ekiti elders to induct 8 youth as affiliate members. 2027, Sean vote buying, CNS primate urges Nigerians. Embrace strategy over noise. Nance Zone D Exco says that 2027 court hears suit seeking Goodluck Jonathan's disqualification May 8th. And that's all we have on politics. And moving on to some sports stories. On the back page of the Nigerian Tribune, UCL, Lookman banks on home support to beat Arsenal. And that's all we have on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. We'll be right back after this break. Please stay with us. For staying with us. Over to you, Victor, for the rest of the day, review of the dailies.
Well, we've got the Nation newspaper right here, and we have interesting stories. Tinubu picks nomination form to open re-election bid, and we have that story on page 3. Continuations of Amzat Yai Adamu Tumsa Buba taking governorship forms. And on page 4, we have this one, where Akpabio declares a GMO seat vacant. The president greets Adenuga at 73. Storm over Mark-led ADC. NWC's ultimatum to Supreme Court. Council 6 expeditious verdict in letter. And you find all of that on page 4. There are other stories right here. Ruto backtracks, says Nigerians speak excellent English. Witness how $6.23 million was taken from CBN coffers under Emefiele. All right. That's the story that we have. Those are the stories that we have on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Now, flipping on to what we have inside on page 3, we have this one where Senate calls for readiness to combat COVID-19 as Cross River records fresh case. I'm not a presidential proxy. Stanley denies Tinubu sponsorship. On page 3, GAC adopts Amzat as consensus candidates. Now we have a series on page 4 where CBN's new rules on BVN phone numbers orders begin on Friday. I think you might want to read up on that. On this other page, you have this one where security operatives are on the trail of gunmen. That charges youth to defend Nigeria's democracy. So continuing, we have this one. A court hears suit seeking Jonathan's disqualification on May 8th. A row in Senate as Police Trust Fund bill scales second reading. And there's a heated debate over planned increase of funds allocation to 1%. 2027, Obi Southeast leaders take consultations to marking day. 1 million salary worthless without stable naira, says NLC. And we have Nenadi Usman, elected substantive LP national chair as the party's national convention holds in Abia. Alleged 1.6 billion naira laundering, EFCC rearranged Bauchi AG and BDC operator. Also, we have this one. Assembly removes Anofeko as a clerk, and a controversy over fate of Osun State monarch convicted in U.S. for fraud. Our government says we have not dethroned royal father. Aida the Soft Subeb, Local Government Service Commission, and Education Secretaries. Lagos urges civil servants on digital literacy as government commemorates World Safety Day. Okay, we have this one. Tinubu wades into Alia Akume Rift, and we have NAF strikes destroy terrorist enclaves in Mandara Mountains. World Malaria Day, MSF treats 26,000 malnourished children in Katsina. Sokoto UNFPA inaugurates 2-year scholarship to train 500 rural midwives. There's a lot of advertorials, but then on midweek politics on page 14, Wadada's endorsement triggers power struggle in Nasarawa APC. And there's a story about ADC's race against time. Zoning controversy splits Kwara APC, and of course, there is more right there. All right, more pages of felicitations right here. But you know, someone is saying right here on page 26, Ibadan Summit, not coalition, both mere talks. And reframing media accountability in Nigeria is a story that you find on page 27. Why Nigeria isn't competing within global economy was on the same page right there. But on to page 30, where Sanwo-Olu's wife hails residents on sanitation compliance, and Jakande leads environmental sanitation in Odi, Olowo, and Ojuwoye. We have this one, Ibat residents, keep environment clean. All right, this and more are right there on page 30. On page 32, intervention in key sectors reshaping economy. And women get healthcare and cash in outreach. Ex-Oyo Deputy Governor sworn in. And of course, we have over 1,000 women endorsed aspirants for reps. Now, we have more interesting stories right here. On page 33, UAE pullout may affect Nigeria's oil revenue prospects, Forex and expats project. And Senate passes amended port regulatory bill. We have this one also. UK government launches creative fund to boost local production. NACO delivers 124% gain on strong earnings outlook. And we have a PTAD resolving pensioners' issues. You find that on page 34 of the Nation newspaper for today. Okay, let's check out more stories on this one. Shetima First Lady SGF Speaker El Omidiron's reforms at FCC. Federal government seeks end to financial market barriers for women and youth in fisheries. Telecom operators seek urgent action against network sabotage. And Akpabio declares Jimo Ibrahim seats vacant. Okay, on this one, City and Crime, we have a trafficked Edo girl loses sight after abuse in Burkina Faso. We have NDLEA Customs commits to strengthening interagency synergy. Banditry, Rivers Council boss seals hotel. And Oyo community decries rising attacks. That's in Erua. Royal family reaffirms indigenous status of prince, and groups seek steps to rebuild trust and deepen peace. Okay, we also have this one. APC leaders adopt consensus reps candidates. Ex-Kwara APC chairman joins governorship race. Olubadon installs pioneer Mogaji of Loyin dynasty. And End GBV, protect women and girls, is a rallying cry out there. On a special report, say inside Ogun's quiet cotton revolution. You find more of that on page 37. And now to 38, where China hands over ECOWAS new headquarter complex in Abuja. And Wike says ECOWAS headquarters a symbol of unity and diplomacy. US-Iran war, TUC demands 50% tax cut for workers, manufacturers. Labor urges federal government to prioritize workers' welfare. Lagos TUC faces leadership disputes. But then we're going to sports. On page 39, New Hope Nigeria FC Scouting Tournament holds in Lagos. NSC challenges Team Nigeria to excel at World Athletics Relays. We have this one. Eagles Shell vows to honor NFF contract amid exit speculation. I can score against any team, boasts Osimhen. PSG hedge Bayern in 9-goal Champions League semi-final epic. The UCL, Lookman in late fitness test. Well, there's the UCL results down at the bottom page, and of course that's our PSG 5, Bayern 4, and today's match is between Atletico de Madrid and Arsenal. That's as much as we can take on the newspaper review segments for this morning. We're going for a short break. We'll return with the weather reports.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Yes, it's still AM120, and this morning we will be talking politics 2027 Opposition Party Summit Declaration. Uh, we saw there was a meeting held last week, and during the weekend, actually, opposition parties across Nigeria declared their determination to challenge the dominance of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, warning of threats to democratic governance ahead of the 2027 general elections. The declaration was made in a communique issued after a national summit held in Ibadan, where key opposition figures, including Atiku Abubakar, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, Rotimi Amechi, Peter Obi, Rauf Aregbesola, met to chart a common strategy. To do justice to this conversation this morning, we have a veteran labor leader, Comrade Emmanuel Ogodiro. Comrade, it's good to have you.
It's my pleasure to be here again. You're well done.
Thank you very much, Comrade. Looking at the summit that was held, opposition party summit, and it's now referred to as the Ibadan Declaration. Let's start with the significance of that summit. What do you make of that summit?
Yeah, I think for the first time after 1983, when the then, I think, NPP, ANPP, UPN, they tried to come together to unseat late Alhaji Shehu Shagari then. I think we are having a semblance now. Just like it happened then, it may be happening a little bit behind schedule, but it is something. Looking at what is happening now, that Nigeria is almost becoming a one-party state. I give it to whoever the convener is. I give it to whoever the convener is. It is something, and you will see that, I think it did the magic it was supposed to do. Because Yoruba will say, Kodumi, Kodumi, Ekanla Wima. Toba tin declare, Oroyin Odedumi o. Sheroro Ekanye. No, I was not bothered. No, it's a joke. They are joking. No. You see, that thing we were discussing the other time, it doesn't really pain me, but no, those people were joking. That means a message had been passed. You see that immediately after that declaration, the ruling party came on board. They said they are jokers, they are this. Then the factions of the parties, none of those parties, there is no party apart from the ruling party that is standing as one. All others that are relevant, they have one faction or the other. So you now hear the factions coming up to speak. Okay. So it has passed the message. Had it been those people have put their is another cup of tea entirely, but had it been they have put their house in order and they were able to do this when the ruling party is doing what it's doing? No, we will not be saying what we are saying now.
Okay, comrade. Now we are looking at you have pointed out that it's passed the message, right? But looking at everything that has happened in that declaration, the allegations of drift towards a one-party, state, the plans to feed a single candidate and all of that. The first question that a lot of people have been asking is this a defensive democratic move or a political rhetoric? Is this a genuine mission to rescue, democracy for Nigeria, or they're just realigning ahead of the next election cycle?
Good. That was where I took a hit at that declaration. The declaration was towards unseating President Tinubu and the APC. That is where I think they are getting it a little bit wrong. Just like the Oka coup of 1989-90 or so, where they have declared their intention before coming on board. In fact, that declaration that the Oka coup planners then made actually contributed to the non-success of that coup. But almost the same thing here. If these people in their declaration, they are just remain on the fact that they actually wanted to rescue democracy and rescue Nigerians from the grip of the ruling party is a different case. You know, when you don't attack personality directly, you address issue. Then some people will take you serious. So that was where I took a wipe at the declaration. So, and people saying they say they are fielding, they said they will work towards. So they know it will involve a lot of things. It may come to pass, it may not be. That declaration says that they shall work towards fielding one presidential candidate. So it's still, but I think that thing jolted. That's why I said it passed its own message. Whether it will be serious, whether it will be not, especially with what is playing out immediately after that declaration, that parties that were said to have signed were coming out. One even said it's not ready to be a footnote to an haphazard arrangement. So, but be that as it may be, those that came, they belong to a party.
All right, thank you.
They represented certain interests.
All right, thank you, comrade. We'll go on this break. When we come back, we'll delve deeper into this conversation.
Supramalt Multivitamin Junior.
Thank you very much for sticking around with us. We are having the conversation on the opposition parties summit declaration ahead of 2027, and we have Comrade Emmanuel Okuntino right here with us. He's a veteran Labour leader, and of course, we are looking at the intricacies of everything out there. There are huge questions, rising for that, and you have addressed one of those questions, and that's to address issues and not personalities in a bid to do that. But realistically now, if they say they are working towards one candidate to unseat the present president, how will they achieve this?
They know it will be difficult. And that is why I love the way they coined their statement, that they are working towards. And when you work towards, you have some plan. When you look at that declaration, they discuss INEC, the leadership of the INEC. They discussed the timetable rolled out by that body. So, if they are able to get something from pressure on that body, they may have the time. But currently, as it is, as the plan rolled out by INEC is, it favors only one party, and that is the ruling party. Any other party is at a discomfort right now. There's hardly a way they can meet up. So it's like something is being engineered towards a one-party state, towards fielding just one candidate.
We saw something some time ago where we saw different parties coming together. We had the CPC, the ACN, all of those parties back then, and they worked, joining forces.
That is a merger.
Yes.
It's different from this coalition.
But now, when you are talking about the engineering of everything towards unseating who is in power presently, who decides what? It's a huge question that Nigerians are very eager to see answered, because they want to know, they are curious. We have seen, the breaking down of factions in different parties.
Yeah.
So who will now decide what?
That is exactly where the legal entities of each party comes into being. And the way things, you see, that warning by the Oyo State governor is apt. I don't know why a lot of people, especially the ruling party, they are afraid they are turning that statement on the warning about wet time. For those who, at least, I may be small then, but with the development and what later transpired and what we read is what the APC is now trying to do is a tantamount to what the SL Akintola of those days were trying to do in the Southwest. So the warning was apt. I don't know why people, you see, we are always very parochial, and we allow vested interest. Instead of people to pick the content of that warning, they are picking the context. So it's a different case entirely. And the warning is apt. I have to be sincere with any Nigerian that is listening now. Because the way we are going, okay, now, let's see. How many governors in Nigeria do we have in the opposition left?
Okay.
How many of our so-called representatives and the senators, wherever they are, those sleeping ones, how many of them do we have in the opposition left? So Nigeria is tending towards, and a country as big as Nigeria cannot afford to have a one-party state where you know that interests are different.
Comrade, earlier you talked about most of these political parties having different factions.
Yeah.
Now, when we have factions amongst these political parties who are also calling for a coalition, how feasibility is it to make it work? And of course, rejecting a one-party state.
It is look, is democracy a one-party thing? That is why I tell people who care to listen, Nigeria is never in democracy. We are just in civil rule. What if it is pure and real democracy? The National Assembly will not be as it is. What we are having as the body politic in the country will not be as it is. You see, our bench and bar, or what do they call them? They have done so much havoc. Nigeria might be having a semblance of democracy 1999, maybe to 2003. From 2003, they killed it. In fact, the last semblance of National Assembly that we have, that we can say Nigeria had a National Assembly, was the 8th Assembly, led by Shola Saraki. Anything thereafter, the executive have so devised the means that they will pinpoint who will be the leader of the National Assembly, who will be doing their bidding. Do we say we have a National Assembly with what Akpabio is doing now?
But comrade, back
to
the question.
Democracy, we don't have democracy. And so democracy, say attributes or whatever that we supposed to be seeing in our leaders are not there.
So when we do not see these attributes in our leaders, these are the people coming together to form coalition to say, in quotes, unseat the current president.
That is why.
And also fighting against the one-party state. How successful do you think this coalition is going to be?
That is why I said, you know, from their declaration, me personally, I've seen that loophole. And that loophole may be the end of that declaration. They are also showing that they are interested in unseating the person leading the country currently. Based on what? What is the ideology? What is their own program that will counter what the man is doing? But I think that is where they're supposed to endear themselves to Nigerians. But rather, they themselves, are we sure? In a group where you have the Amechi of this Nigeria, the Atikus of this Nigeria, the Peter Obi of this Nigeria, the Kokonso of this Nigeria, because those I've mentioned, they have interest in running for the presidency. So, and that's why I love the way they coin it even. Say they are working towards. Let's see how they work towards that. But within this very short period, with the INEC that has actually entangled and roped them with its program, let's see how they are working towards that.
Comrade, looking at this communique, it's a 9-point communique signed, by chairmen of participating opposition parties. And it feels like
out of which about 5 or so have said no.
And also, comrade, it feels like nothing is even said that looks like consideration, or considering the plight of Nigerians.
That is exactly
it just
what I
states
said.
about political parties, INEC wanting to take over. Now, where does this leave Nigerians? Where we have people fighting, not for the plight of Nigerians now, but for, for power, for taking over. How should or where does this leave Nigerians?
I give this coalition and the declaration one thing: trying to rescue democracy, so that Nigeria will still have a semblance of democracy. But anything apart from that, that is the elites, the political elites, putting their interest first, grabbing position. That is what you see there. That is what I personally see from that declaration. If it were to be about Nigerians, they will come out, at least maybe puncturing some of the programs this ruling party is implementing, and how better they can do it. If they are not going to do the same thing, what would they do? But the way, if I sit down, and I sat down, I actually interpret what they said. But I said what they are telling me is they will still go the same way this man is going. It's only that maybe they are not happy the way he's doing it. Maybe he's pushing some people out. I sat down and looked at that declaration with nothing much about Nigeria. Whatever INEC rolled out, it's not concerning the economy, the livelihood of Nigeria. It's about politicians and their political parties.
Comrades, so how can Nigerians, because now you've pointed out the political elites and what the purpose is for them, how can Nigerians now make them realize or demand themselves the needful?
I'm very sorry to ask these questions. Politics-wise, Nigeria is sophisticated, especially the leaders. But are the electorates, the teeming masses in the country, are they so politically educated to actually make a choice or make a change in the type of situation that Nigeria found itself? No. So it will still be business as usual. And that is what the political elites have seen. That is what the ruling party, nay, the current president, is playing upon.
So you think electorates are also...
Very gullible, very uneducated election-wise.
But who are we to blame in all of this, or in the mix of these, especially where electorates that should be fighting for democracy themselves, are caught in the mix of these issues?
When the head is good, the other part of the body will be okay. But because the head is bad, the head is rotten, even if the other parts of the body are okay, they cannot function the way they are supposed to function. Because that one that is coordinating, that is sending down signal, is not doing it right. And that is why the other part of the body is getting it wrong. Their road is bad, give them rice. Flood is carrying them away, give them rice. Insurgents is killing them, aiming at them, give them rice. So, I hope you get what I'm saying. What they are dictating from the top is what people are taking. But I witnessed something, I don't know, I've forgotten from which state. Their representative went home. They beat him blue, black. If Nigeria, you see, that's why I said the political elites, what they are doing now, Nigeria electorates, Nigeria masses, we are so raw, so gullible. But our gullibility could still be an asset, because when some among the so-called gullible people get wise, they turn the gullibility of the masses into an asset. And the political elite, they will by then have shot themselves in the leg.
Right.
That is what they're supposed to take care of. It's what they're supposed to have seen.
We have some bills to pay, and we'll be back. Please stay with us.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys.
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on, malaria gone.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Comrade, when we talk about revival of democracy, where should it start from? How should it start? And what are those key indicators we would have to start seeing for us to know that, yes, we're on the right path in terms of reviving our democracy?
Yes, this is where I will have to break it down. It's 2 or 3 ways. The political elites and the business elites, this is what they wanted. But the academic elites, the so-called enlightened, that have been elsewhere, that knows the true meaning of democracy, they have been sleeping. They have left their own part undone. Go and look at the head of National Orientation, formerly MAMSA. What are they doing? These are agencies that are supposed to be awakening the reality in Nigerians. But what are they doing? The Nigeria ivory towers, what are they doing? They pick minister from them. They pick head of agencies from them. What are they doing? And third leg, the masses. That means to majority of the masses, the way the Nigerian democracy, so put, which I term civil rule, is being run. It's well by them. They are okay by it. If not, if the head cannot bring order, chaos will rule into orderliness from below. But because the ruling elites that have failed in bringing order from above, they have also used one instrument to actually and perpetually keep the teeming masses down: poverty.
Comrade, let's
Hunger.
look at the summits now, going back to the summits and looking at the people that were at the summit or the key stakeholders at the summit.
Yeah.
We had Atiku, we had Peter Obi, we had Kokonso, we had Raoul Faregbeshola,
All from
Rotimi
ADC. All from ADC.
And it feels like, we had a lot of people more from a particular party than a lot of other opposition parties.
Yes.
Now, when we now start talking about picking a presidential candidate amongst this coalition, how does it work?
That's right.
Is there going to be an agreement? Is it going to be a force that we all really need in Nigeria? Talking about rejection of a one-party state.
That is exactly where we started from. They said they are going to try. They are going to work towards that. And I now said, with the present framework, the trap as set by the INEC, they are just trying to wriggle out. And that's why they gave INEC some conditions. That the leadership of INEC, being alleged as biased, should give way. The timetable, as set by INEC, should be reviewed. The electoral law should be reviewed. So these are things where INEC has trapped all others. The ruling party is smiling because all what INEC put in the electoral process, they have started it, even ahead of INEC. That is where Amokwita cannot. Let's be sincere with ourselves. The ruling party is a mile ahead of others. And exactly what the ruling party is doing, by the time INEC came out with the timetable and whatever, is what you have there. Ojo gate, kojo gate, Yoruba will say, oh, pese méjèèjì lélẹ̀ gate. Egun àtiro wọlé, èèyàn àtiro
So are you also questioning...
Any wise person will know that it is the one-legged masquerade, the limping masquerade that went in, is that resulted in the one-legged or limping man that came out of the house.
So are you saying there's no trust in also in the leadership of
With
Amukwito?
the way Amukwito led INEC is going about his operations, personally, myself, I don't have a trust in it.
All right, comrade. Now let's look at a certain individual. He hosted this summit in these states. And people are pointing out implications for his national political positioning now. And people say he's heavyweight, given his issues with Wike and what he's been able to pull together to Ibadan right about now. What are the implications for Seyi Makinde? Are we talking about 2027 positioning for him as well in this same state?
It may be beyond 2027. I liken Seyi Makinde to Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the governor of Lagos State there. The role Seyi Makinde is playing in Oyo now, as the last governor standing, was the role Bola Ahmed Tinubu, now the president of Nigeria, played in Lagos State as the last governor standing. That role gave him a recognition, pushed him up to a national recognition. If Seyi Makinde, and you know, Bola Ahmed Tinubu talks, he talks too much, even I want to say, then Seyi Makinde doesn't talk. He doesn't talk too much. He weigh whatever he is saying. I give it to him. I served under him when I was a civil servant. I give that to him. So he might even be better than Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But the two of them, I see them playing the same role. It was a Yoruba man in leadership. Obasanjo was in leadership then when Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the last governor standing. Bola Ahmed Tinubu now, the then last governor standing, is now in leadership. When Seyi Makinde remains the last, is now the last governor standing. So I give it to him. Whatever they may term, whatever they may say is his ambition. One, is a rational human being. Two, is a politician. So you cannot, and you will not want to toy with his ambition. And especially, you see, we have situational leaders. And Governor Seyi Makinde is appearing to be one. When all other people are sleeping, when all other people are contented, he moved around. I give it to all of them that met at Ibadan. I'm very sure, even in BCOS here, you didn't know that, that meeting was coming up until about 24 hours or so. And by the time you start, I said, will these people come? I start reading. We are already in Ibadan. We are this, we are that. I said, kudos to whoever convened. So, whatever they might want to say about the host, me, personally, because we cannot all be sleeping. Look, they are not giving to us. This regime is taking much from an average Nigerian. And that is part of what I said, is a tool they are using. They are impoverishing the teeming masses the more. So whatever they dangle in front of you, you will see people rushing it. And from there, it's like a trap. They capture them. We are the former leader of AP, the former national chairman of AP said it. They want to capture Nigeria, and they are capturing. They don't say they want to win. They said they want to capture, and they are using all methods within their political ambit to start capturing. They started by capturing the National Assembly. They started capturing the governors. They are now capturing the masses.
Comrade, now let's look at this from a different light. Is there any other way that we can actually have another alternative to getting someone else come in as president come 2027? Because we are looking at the history of failed coalitions in Nigeria. We are looking at the risk of internal power struggle and all of that. even within the APC, we are starting to hear rumors of, internal struggle.
There will be.
And so, is there any way that we can actually have someone else coming in as president without the issue of the coalition?
That is where any Nigerian that is not in APC, that is not pro-Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that is blaming that Ibadan coalition, that is not giving a thumb up to that Ibadan coalition, it's not serious. Because if it is going this way, man, tell me, which serious party, which serious national party has not been factionalized? Tell me, just look at it. So when there are currently factions, from which faction of any party, and will Nigerians take that such a party serious?
And that's what the question
So I give it to them.
earlier.
So, like the question you asked, if there is nothing like this about the coalition, if everybody is sleeping, in fact, it will be a straight jacket thing, it will be a one-party thing, because all other parties will have been, they already been dismembered, they already been weakened. So, by the time the election will come, if not totally erased, their erasure will have been starting by then. Give it to Bola Tinubu. That is the politics he knows how to play. Maybe learning from experience. Remove Bola Tinubu from APC. You see that is when you will see the awotele of APC.
Comrade, let's look at 2023 during the election. We saw the impact youth played in that election, especially talking of a Labour Party.
The obedient movement.
With the obedient movement.
Yes.
Looking at this Ibadan summit now and this declaration, do you think the youth should also be carried along? Do you think there will be an importance of the youth involvement in this summit?
Were the youth carried along?
In the coalition?
In the Ibadan declaration, were the youth carried along? I would say no. And unfortunately, the so-called obedient movement then have been decimated by all these non-entities, this city nonsense, city boys nonsense. Because they don't think. Whoever find himself in that city boy nonsense, they are not helping the country. They are not talking about even, yes, if you are even working for one person now, will there be any alternative come 2027 or after 2027? Or it will be then that regrouping will be starting. This is where people are not thinking. That is why I said whoever is actually thumbing down the Ibadan coalition is not thinking right. Even if that coalition or whatever, it will not yield result come 2027 because, like I said, they have been entrapped. What of after 2027? Who are coming behind? Atiku has said this will be his last political maneuvering. None of them is growing younger. So who will be coming after them? And all this, they are. You see, it was among the youth, the obedient movement, that have been decimated to form the city boy movement. So the obedient movement cannot be as it was for 2023 election. And that is why those city boy, whatever, they are not thinking about their future or the future of Nigeria. They are thinking about what they are eating now or what they want to benefit now. So they will now be regrouping after 2027. Just like we are blaming this one that they are coming up too late, they are coming together too late, that will still be the same blame then. But if those ones are serious, they are forming themselves now.
Comrade, let's look at this. Before the 2023 elections, we had a crazy build-up. I'll use the word crazy because of the events that happened years prior. We had the COVID-19 and how Nigeria handled it. We had the NSAS issues. And then we saw the leading up to, the 2023 elections, some statements from the different political parties. This time around, we have had different calls ever since the incumbent president got into power. and we've had an increase in security issues. Now we are
Increase in insecurity.
Oh, well, insecurity.
That is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have had people calling out that the increased poverty rates as
Sure.
well. Increased borrowing from other countries.
I've said it. They are just taking from. They are taking from us.
There are so many things that people are looking at, and already social media is agog. Not just there. People in reality are now starting to have conversations with themselves about what is going on. And now,
Are you sure? People
yes.
in reality are having conversation about what is going on.
To see more people speaking about it.
I don't think so.
I'm starting to see more people speak about it. And now we are seeing some of them starting to say maybe the elections should come faster so that they vote out the incumbents.
Look.
So is that possible?
It's not. Nigerian constitution doesn't give room to independent candidacy. You have to be on a platform before you come on board. Tell me, which other platform apart from the ruling party? No, let's be realistic. For whoever is talking, that are not taking part, that are thumping down the Ibadan Declaration and Coalition, which other platform? You have to be on a platform before you come up for election. Which platform? None. Viable as at now, when the election timetable has been rolled out and is being implemented.
So are we saying the presidency has already, engineered the machinations that will ensure that they stay?
The man has not sat down when he was thinking of 2027, when he was thinking of second term. Remember, if I did not give you 24 hours electricity, he was campaigning. And he was saying, if I come back for second term. So he's already, he was sure then that he will win and he will be coming for second term. He made a promise that is yet to fulfill. But it is only in a country like Nigeria that people will forget what he had said. Because I saw a lot of rationale. You see, I'm always very angered when I see people that are supposed to be right thinking, people that are supposed to be thinking about the future, rationalizing for the oppressors, the extortionists.
What can it do differently?
Some people said, yes, he has signed the liberalization of electricity. What if he is actually serious about that? If he remembered what he said during his campaign, he's supposed to have signed it the way he said Otilo for subsidy. He should have done that immediately he got into office.
Do you think this coalition
over time?
Me?
What should he have done differently over
time? You mean me?
No, I'm talking about the president. Or what can he do between now?
He's the president that doesn't listen to advice.
But do you think this coalition is going to sort these
program.
issues?
You remember, at Chatham, he said he will actually reduce our disposable income. He's doing it. He said he will shrink the economy. He has done that. And he said he will widen the tax net. He's doing that. Which one among all those is pro-masses? Tell me. In a Nigeria that before he came on board, we were already on January to December. Buhari has taken us to January to December fiscal year. We are now running 2024, 2025, 2026 budget in a single year. I think they've just completed 2024. 2025 will not be completed until June 2026. When will 2026 budget be completed? Maybe December 2027.
Comrade, looking at all these issues we pointed out.
That is where we find ourselves. So, among all those, which one is pro-masses?
Comrade, looking at all these issues we've pointed out, and we can all see that most of the major stakeholders in this coalition have held a position or the other in this country. How do you think they can move Nigeria forward, especially talking of the issue of insecurity, which has caused a lot of issues, especially in our economy? How do you think this can be solved?
Let me take it. All these people that came together at Ibadan, that have held one position or the other, I've told you they are ruling the list. They don't have your love at heart. Take it. They are after themselves first.
So why did you give a thumb up for the Ibadan Declaration, the summit?
For them coming together to rescue Nigeria democracy. I said it at the beginning.
But now
Nigeria cannot.
but now you're saying you do not have. I mean,
No.
based on what you said, no vote of confidence amongst the stakeholders.
About their leadership. The leadership is one thing. The platform that will give them the leadership is another thing.
But if you're already questioning the leadership of the platform, how do you think the platform can stand? How do you think there can be a positive result from the platform?
That is a general question for Nigerians. Why some of us are saying, let's shake this country to its foundation. If we shake this country to its foundation, look, we have tried a system that actually brought growth and development. And that is regionalization. Let there be a weak center. Let's depart from what the military fostered on us. Let's come. Look, there is nothing anybody can tell any Hausa man that they will listen unless they were being told by their kinsmen. The same thing. So, but by the time we are within ourselves, there is nothing Bola Ahmed Tinubu will say. People will go to Iragiji if Lagos is not actually paying. People will trace him to Iragiji and look, they will go and speak to his roots. We know how to do that here.
But
Awolowo of blessed memory, was he not wise enough? He hailed from Ogun State, but Ibadan was the headquarters. He did a lot of things in the headquarters, not taking them to, just like our present leaders are doing. So we need to query their leadership ability. And the way Nigeria is conglomerated now, that will not be possible. But if we are within ourselves, look, I know your mom, I know your dad, I know your family. If I talk to you as somebody that we are working together, you refuse, I will look for people who will talk to you. That is when your Bible say, your parents will call you. So these are the things. But for you, myself, and Hausa man, Igbo man, Isekiri man, we look, this deceive that we have deceived ourselves is enough. I give it to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but the way he's doing it, all these regional development corporations or commissions, fine, it may be the way to go, but they are only economic, they are not political. And in Nigeria today, that is the truth, whether you like it or not. It is politics that dictates the direction of every other thing. Economy don't dictate where politics goes, whereas that is the way it's supposed to be. But it is the politics that dictates the direction where other sector of the country goes. So, what all those development commissions, they are only economic, they are not political. Had it been they are political? Yes.
Okay, comrade. Now let's go back in history. Governor Seyi Makinde mentioned something at the Ibadan Declaration Summit, and we know it's a reference point for the APC guys. That's the Operation Wet here. What exactly happened in there? What are the lessons that we should be learning? Because some people are pointing out that it's led to something serious and sinister for Nigeria. In the 1960s.
Even if you are not alive, you were not born, you read history. If Adebmin is a country where we keep records, you visit the Oyo State House of Assembly, they will show you where people jump through in those days. And what led to it was domination. Overt domination. I've just said it at the beginning, where the SL Akintola party was trying to actually dominate and erase the other opposition parties. Just like and that is why I said, whoever knows history, whoever is thinking right, Seyi Makinde is not saying we will do it. He is not saying, but he's cautioning them, don't go the way of 1966 wet here. Because this was the way it started. Bit by bit, little by little, you are trying to wipe out others, even with their identities and their ideas. No, now Yoruba will say, you cannot throw away the baby with the bathwater. That is what the current APC regime is trying to do. No. They look at the PDP, somebody that knitted the PDP together when the PDP was weak, the poaching. Wiki. They look at one aggrieved person in ADC, one boy of 36 years or whatever. That guy, tell me, what money will he have? He's still in Sheraton Hotel up to now. Does he have that money? Look, on time me, I'm not for that. What I wanted is let there be good governance. One, it is only good governance that will bring dividend of governance. But this one, it is the political elite that are capturing everything.
Comrade, you just mentioned, Governor Seyi Makinde's initiative.
So, Seyi Makinde
being
did not say,
a good initiative.
Yes. He's not saying that it is inviting them. He made a reference. I mean, I don't know. Complain.
Comrade,
they don't mean well for this country. When somebody sounded a note of warning, I mean, he has not, personally, he has not. Can they take that statement? Somebody are saying he's treachery, he's this, he's that. Can they take him to court now?
Comrade, we know that statement was, the governor trying to warn us about what had happened in the past.
Even warn the leadership, those that are trying to make a one-party
and also
state.
Hosting, opposition parties in Ibadan.
He has a fundamental right. He has a fundamental right of association.
And if also was tailored through a good intention. But now, when we are questioning the people he has brought together to form this coalition, who are those you think Governor Seyi Makinde should have carried along instead of the regular people we've been seeing?
See, please, let there be a line of demarcation. We are questioning. You said those people have held one position or the other. What I try to do is x-ray who they were when they were leading. It's different from being a party man. Governor Seyi Makinde brought together party men, political people. He did not actually go into their personality. If it were personality, they would say coalition or coming together of so persons. But he said opposition parties. So, and let's take it that way. And that's why I said, I now queried even that again, when about 4 parties have dissociated themselves from the coalition. So, but that is another. What happened was coalition of opposition parties. The aftermath is another thing. If we are trying to x-ray the aftermath, that may take another topic. Another 1 hour or so entirely. But what happened in Ibadan and the outcome of it is one thing.
All right, let's look at INEC now. I know we mentioned it briefly, but let's look at it a little bit. So many parties, so many stakeholders calling for the sack of Professor Mukpito and saying he's not fit. We also saw a few weeks ago the backlash where old tweets were resurfaced from Professor Mukpito, even though it was said that it was AI, it was doctored. It was AI. Let's look at his role in all of these. Do you think he's really fit to handle that office, considering the backlash he's been receiving?
You see, it's only that in Nigeria, we don't have shame. A lot of us, we don't have it. The forensic audit of that X account was an afterthought. And I can say it was manipulated. If X would do well, you see, when you create an account, the date that it was created, either the phone number or the email, will be there. And in X, even Facebook, they give you a code. That code will go with your biometrics or biodata that's on it. The only agency organization that can help Nigeria now to show that what they came out with, that there was a forensic audit and it cleanses Amukpitan, is X. The X management. If they come out with all those figures, all those data, then we will know.
All right,
but apart from that, so what you are saying is, see, during COVID-19, you mentioned it. Governor Seyi Makinde did one thing. He failed to close down Oyo State. Didn't the federal government come later to do it? Was it not a success? That is exactly what Amukpitan was doing. APC started online registration. How come? It found its way into INEC. And you are now giving others. When APC had concluded, you are now even giving others deadline. Just one.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade. Comrade Emmanuel Ogundiran is a veteran Labour leader, and he has been a very great guest on the program this morning, discussing with us 2027 Opposition Parties Summit Declaration. And we thank you indeed for having shed a lot of light and in-depth analysis on this conversation this morning.
My pleasure.
All right, we go on the short break. When we return, our second guest will be right on stage with us. Sticking around with us. We are still on the conversation, 2027 Opposition Parties Summit Declaration. And we have the Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party of your state chapter, Mr. Michael Omoshina, joining us this time out. Welcome to the show.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having me, and good morning to all of our viewers all over the world.
All right, we are examining the implications of the Ibadan Declaration, and that was issued at the end of the National Summit of Opposition Parties this past weekend. And there are both claims against the APC, the ruling party, a proposed united front ahead of 2027, and yes, moves to rescue Nigeria's democracy, which has been said to be under threat. Now, what do you see? Is this a genuine rescue mission? Is this just another political realignment in the build up to 2027?
I like your question. You said, is it a genuine rescue mission, or is it necessary political alignment for 2027? If there's anybody still talking about politics with the kind of situation that we're in this country, the person is not only wicked, the person is heartless, and the person is empathetic. If you are not being sincere to the nation, because actually the situation we are now, it's gone beyond the parochial, primordial sentiment. It's a very difficult situation that we have as a nation. Our politics has not been this bastardized. Judiciary has not been this questioned. You know, we say that judiciary is the last hope of the common man. But under this administration, you now question the credibility of the last hope of the common man. You know, it looks to me that just this morning, I saw a particular video, and this is why we must do everything possible to send APC back to wherever they came from. I saw a particular video this morning. A senator from Oyo State, Senator Fatai Buhari, was talking at the floor of the Senate, and I'm sure you've seen the video too. And then he was talking to the Senate President to say, we are not funding Nigerian police force adequately. The man said, "Okay, shut up your mouth. What do you mean? We don't fund Air Force. We don't fund Army. We don't fund anything adequately in this country." That's a serious slap on our democracy. So we are going to basically this morning is the fact that it's beyond politics for us and the PDP. For my principal, Governor Sheikh Makinde, for those of us who genuinely love this nation, for some of us who know, who understand the labors of our heroes past, for some of us who understand what it took, our fathers, who understand that people shed blood, people laid down their lives, people sacrificed their lives for us to get to this point in our democracy. So we understand that 2027 it's not business as usual. It's not the way it's supposed to be. It is really, really, really for us. It's a sincere commitment to ensure that our democracy is not truncated. It's really a struggle to ensure that we salvage our nation and send these charlatans back to wherever it is they come
All
from.
right, Mr. Ogushino, I like where you started from. But before we go into that, democracy and the people, we'll have to take a commercial break. And when we return, we'll continue. Please stay with us. All right, thank you very much for staying with us. So before we went on that break, Mr. Ogushino, you were talking about the summit. It's not just, okay, before we even go to the summit, you know, it's not just about politics anymore now. You know, it's fighting for democracy in Nigeria. But back to the summit now, looking at the communique signed, the 9-point communique signed, you know, it feels like none of the points talks about the safety of Nigerians, talks about the interests of Nigerians. In fact, talks about the true democracy we are really fighting for.
So what's true democracy? It is charismatic representation of the people. True democracy is ensuring that people have options. True democracy is that we are fighting against one-party states. True democracy is that we are saying that the maladministration, the high-handedness, the wickedness that has permitted the APC administration is not allowed to continue. True democracy is that in 2027 we don't reinforce failure. True democracy is that in 2027 we give Nigerians options and the privilege to pick among the options that we have. True democracy is actually agitating against INEC to do the proper and right thing in the interest of our democracy. Right? So the 9-point agenda, all of it actually summarize how a properly functioning democracy should work. And the first thing we said in that particular communique is that we assured the APC and INEC that contrary to their plans, we are going to field candidates for all elected positions, from state assembly to House of Reps to Senate to presidency. We're going to field candidates. APC will not be the only party on the ballot.
But what plans do you have now? And I'm talking about the coalition now.
Yes.
What plans do you have to carry electorates along? Because when we start having new faces or new people or politicians whom Nigerians do not really have trust in coming up again, how do you begin to gain the trust of the people?
Okay, so number one, I also love this question because it also allows me to, my favorite preacher is Charles Spurgeon. He's late now. He will always say that the past is a nice place to visit, but not a good place to stay. So I like us to also go back to the past and look at, in 2014, there was a grand coalition in this country, right? That particular grand coalition had what we call the NPDP, the new PDP. You had people like Buba Galadima, people like Shekarau, people like Saraki, people like Dogara, people like Atiku Abubakar, right? People like Tambuwal, people like a lot of core PDP guys, right? People like Jonathan Boys, Yaradua Boys. You see all of them actually go to identify with the coalition, the APC then, right? And they were politicians. They were also men of questionable characters. But they had to come together to take the government, right? So even though their intention wasn't pure, and it's still not pure, unlike our intention that we have now, which is to salvage our democracy, then it was anything but Jonathan, right? Now we are even saying that it's not even about Tinubu or APC now. It's about the very core of our nation. It's about the reality that we have as Nigerians. It's about the insecurity we are going through. It's about the total collapse of our educational system. It's about the total collapse of our economy. It's about the fact that 143 million Nigerians are poor. For us, that's the drive. So how do we end the grassroots? You see, in all of this particular agenda that you have, the major partners of the coalition have the grassroots. They are the ones saying, guys, go and set yourself. Go and fix yourself. You want to vote against these persons. Really want to vote against them. And you see, they know, and I've said it everywhere, they know that they are not popular. I mean the ruling party. They know they are not popular. They know that people at the grassroots, the electorate, do not like them. They know. And that's why they're trying to do everything possible to take that option of voting against them from them. And that's what we will not allow. Okay. So let me explain how you're doing that. Okay. Sorry. Let me explain to you how you're doing that. Somebody asked me a question and said, how do you say you want to serve in Nigeria? And then you are bringing Atiku, Amechi, Peter Obi, Kwankwaso, people that were part of people that destroyed this nation, David Mark. And I laughed and said, have you forgotten that it is politicians that play politics? Is it you that will come and play politics? The business of politics is played by politicians. And our responsibility is to arrange a political party and a political system that is credible enough that the people can see as an alternative. And then they can follow us willingly in 2027. And that's what we have.
But how about when you question the credibility of such people in that particular party or the coalition? Isn't
the same way we question people like Saraki and Tinubu in 2014 when we were building the APC? Tell me a politician in this country who is known, whose credibility is not being questioned. Truth of the matter is that it is the business of politicians to do politics.
But how
and you see, in that particular process, there are a lot. Okay, for example, you will understand it now. I listened to what Showore said. Showore said, how can you invite him to a summit where the people in the summit were the very people that destroyed this nation? You know, when I saw that, I actually laughed. Okay, so what do we do? What do we do? So give me a better idea. Do we carry broadcasters? Do we carry journalists? Do we carry medical doctors to come and play politics?
Why can't they play politics?
They can play politics when they come into the system. But there are people that their primary assignment
are they giving chance when they come into the system? Especially when we are talking about presidential form, getting a presidential form for 100 billion naira. How many professors can get that? So for this coalition, when you start putting price tag to it, what price tag do you think would come up when you talk about the presidential form, a governorship form, and other positions?
So one of the things we also did in coalition, I think number 3 of our communique, we said it that we will work on presenting a unified presidential candidate, which means all of us, the wounded PDP, injured ADC, all of us will come together, right? And they hijack the SDP, hijack Labour Party, will come together to present a unified candidate. So if that's the agenda, it means that conversations will be held about other positions. Okay. Do you understand? For example, if we say that, let's assume that we are adopting Seyi Makinde as the coalition. I really want that, but I can only imagine that. I can only imagine that now. Now, so let's imagine, I was saying, British Seyi Makinde as the presidential candidate of the opposition coalition, which means that every other party in the coalition was supporting the candidature of that person. Now, that person, let's assume that we're using PDP. Now, if you use PDP, it means that no other candidate will be sponsored by any of the other political parties for president. It doesn't mean that he cannot sponsor for other positions. So, so which means that at this particular moment, there will not be a price too much to pay for that kind of ticket, because you know that you have the voice, you have the choice, and you have the support of the other political parties.
But
and
it
you
just feels like it's just the position of the presidency. What about other positions?
See, everything rises and falls on leadership. I think that one of the things you'll agree with me, that the reason we have this level of decadence, this level of maladministration, this level of incessant indiscipline, and disregard for either the rule of law of Nigerians, is because of the kind of National Assembly that we actually have. The current National Assembly, as headed by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, is a joke. It's a very big joke.
How would you say it's a joke?
It's a serious joke. In the last 8 months, this is April, in the last 8 months, since August last year, when they went for recess and came back, there's not been a single healthy debate in that particular floor. No single healthy debate. So the president wants a loan, writes a letter to the Senate. The Senate president has called some of his friends to his office, and then next thing you see is that Senate has approved a loan. We do healthy debates. Nobody's coming to.
How do you know he called some of his friends into the office?
Well, allegedly. But truth of the matter is that we have seen this pattern repeat itself over and over again. I've read it in the news. In fact, the last loan that was approved was $12.5 million.
Mr. Ogishina, I understand what you're trying to point out, but let's go back memory lane. For years, this country was governed by PDP presidents, and there was that stronghold over almost all the states as well.
That was not true. We never had 31 states. But the match we had was 29.
You see, so it's 28, 31.
And even after that, let me remind you, when PDP was in power, that was when Arigbesola won his election at Supreme Court. That was when Fayemi won at Supreme Court. That was when Amechi won at Supreme Court.
We understand that, but you still had majority of the states governed by PDP.
Yes.
And then you also had a statement coming out at that time where, some persons did mention that they wanted PDP to remain in power and to control Nigeria all the way through. Yeah. So now, the other ruling party is there. And, we have members of the PDP against them doing the same thing that they were trying to do back then. How does it feel?
No, so I think the difference between then and now is because PDP was not only the ruling party. We also offer meaningful governance.
Well,
Don't forget,
there are people complaining.
When people complain, and let me tell you, it is always wise to subject matters to context and proper understanding, so that people that are listening to us can really get what we're trying to say. Right. Now, so this is it. Before, when PDP was in government, don't forget that there was a debt relief. Remember, during the Basojo administration, even though at some points we also incurred some debts before the administration actually left, but there was a debt relief, right? A huge debt relief. Now, don't forget that the kind of person that worked the PDP administration, there are people that you cannot doubt their excellence, their antecedent, and their intelligence. People like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, people like Frank Woke Jr., people like Akim Adesina, people like Olusegun Aganga, people like Bert Energy, right? People that, when you mention their name, the entire African nation, in fact, the entire world actually shake to say, no, these are men. These are men that you cannot doubt their commitments to delivering on whatever assignment you give to them. And that is why, after the administration, you've seen those guys go ahead to do amazing things in life. You've seen them do a lot of things for all the world, not just for Africa alone. Look at Mama Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, now DG WTO, and then people like that accumulation just finished his tenure as AFDB president. So look at my point. Then we come into the APC administration. Okay, the people that we used as ambassadors then, for example, you had people like Bolaji Akinyemi, you had a lot of intelligent guys like that, and people like Ambassador Tafik Arakpaja. Now, then let's come to this in 2015.
Mr. I know you want to reel out, the a success of PDP
no, I'm not even talking about the success now. I'm saying that the question he asked me was, PDP was there for some time.
Yes.
We had a stronghold on the nation. And I'm saying that particular stronghold was because of our performance. We were not coercing people. Nobody was coerced. Nobody was forced. Nobody was annihilated, molested, or harassed. Nobody was being offered money to join. Nobody. As a matter of fact, APC, Lagos was in APC. As It was never at any particular point.
Wasn't APC?
ACN. It was never at any particular point being threatened to join the PDP. Unlike what is happening now. Must everybody join your party?
When PDP was in power then,
yes,
Nigeria was not the way it was.
Nigeria was better,
now,
way better.
Way better. Of course, Nigeria will be better, but it's a process. And looking at everything we are going through right now, the insecurity issue, the economy, Naira devaluation, inflation and everything, how do you think this coalition, when they eventually come on board, can sort these issues in 4 years?
Thank you. So look at the characters of the person in the coalition, and then you look at what they have done before, right? Let me remind you that Peter Obi inherited a very strong Anambra economy. He changed before he left. In fact, left a lot of some for the guy he handed over to. Seyi Makinde inherited debt in this state, plenty debt. Remember, pensions, debt, gratuity, teachers, local governments. Look at how Governor Seyi Makinde has completely transformed Oyo State, right? So if you look at the characters of people in the coalition, and then let me also tell you this, the coalition is not about an individual, about a group of persons. Let me say it again, for the purpose of reiteration and tautology, the coalition is not about an individual or about a group of persons. No, it is about Nigerians. It's about giving Nigerians other options, right? So that means that once if we say that, for example, if we say that we are having a unified presidential candidate, one candidate, it means that we will, depending on the support of all the other political parties for that particular candidate, when we win, it cannot be a one-party government. It's going to be a unified government. It becomes a national government.
Are your ideologies the same, or are you all tilting towards the same goal?
The current ideology now, it's an agenda.
Because
and the current agenda now is
to parties in that coalition who have different factions.
Yes.
Now, how do you think these other factions would agree to this coalition?
No,
considering the fact that they also have motive, they have their personal ambitions also. Do you think they will agree?
You don't think that those factions are actually sponsored by the presidency? So what happens is that it is, okay, so let's come on. My party, our party, that I serve as a spokesperson of the PDP, currently, in the eyes of the law, there are two factions. There is the Turaki Makinde faction, and there is the Wike faction, right? In our party. The Wike faction is also known as the PDP support group for Asiwaju election. Because all of them have actually come out to say that they are supporting, including Saraki, they've come out to say that they are supporting Asiwaju for the election. And for us in the PDP, we have an ideology. We are not in the APC. We have no pact with the APC. We want to vote against them. We want to campaign against them. We don't want them to win again. We don't want to reinforce failure. So it's just normal that the other people that seem to be on the same page with the presidency, they will be supported by the presidency, right? Now look at the ADC. Just 2 weeks ago, the chief of staff to the president, the former speaker of House of Reps, Right, went to the brother party of Eleke Abejide, you remember? And then he said, told Eleke Abejide, in the eyes of the camera, everybody was watching, and told them that, see, don't leave the ADC, just stay there, continue to scatter that particular party. Scatter it for us. You know why? And that actually puts credence to the words of Seyi Makinde, that what they're trying to do is to hold opposition parties down for the presidency. And that will be, you know why it has to be. So again, to answer your question, it's going to be the motive of the coalition now is unified, is one. And it is to end this hegemony and monopoly of the APC. That is the motive now, right? Anybody that does not agree on that particular motive, who is on the same page with us, is working for the APC.
All right, as we start to wrap up this morning, Mr. Commissioner, I would like to ask you this. Don't you think there was a precedent set with the rumors in the build-up to 2023 that Governor Seyi Makinde had a pact with the present president?
It's not a rumor, it's a fact. Seyi Makinde worked for Tinubu. It is not a rumor.
So with that
It's
Don't
not
you
a
think it
rumor.
set a dangerous precedence for what is happening?
And that's why the governor come out to say that he has repented. Everybody can make mistakes. I've also made mistakes and I've repented. And don't want to
Mr.
do
Ogushina,
it
in 30
again.
seconds, I know you mentioned the NPDP 2014.
Yes,
We
yes,
also
yes.
saw a coalition in 2019. That's the coalition of united
Oh,
political
okay,
parties, which brought the PDP and 38
Yes,
other
CUPP,
political
yes, yes, yes.
parties.
I
But
remember.
we really didn't see, that did not, of course, see the light of
Failed
day.
coalitions.
It felt, yes. What's the unity of this coalition like? And how do you see this coalition till 2027 election?
Well,
Considering the fact that you're also calling on INEC and Amukwiton's, the issues with INEC and Amukwiton being the leader.
I honestly want to, if I have the privilege to sit down with all the leaders of the coalition, I'll prostrate. That's what we do in the Balam, to show respect and appeal. And say, please, can we share our personal interests and actually look at national interests? As long as the opposition leaders are willing to bury their personal interests, for the sake of the national interests, I think that Tinubu is the one-time president. Do you understand it? As long as, because currently, don't forget that in that coalition, there are about 5 persons that have presidential ambitions. If that can be effectively managed, to say let one person run, Tinubu is gone.
Do you think that is possible?
There's nothing impossible in politics.
All right. We just hope to see what happens with the coalition in the coming days. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael Ogushina, the Publicity Secretary, PDP Oyo State Chapter. Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. It's time for Sport Updates. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.